Gino Gray was a big 6'7" wide receiver hailing from Tucson, Arizona, best known for possession catches on third downs and being an insane red zone threat. All he had to do was shield off the DBs, which he did easily. However, Gino was the only thing his school had to offer, and to get his senior season started, he would have a catch all the way out to the 40, dragging defenders for a big 35-yard reception. After the drive only amounted to a field goal, Gino would be back out on punt return, breaking free for a 42-yard return all the way into San Manuel territory. On the following possession, Gino would win off the line of scrimmage almost immediately, making a catch, breaking 2 tackles, and driving his way all the way inside the 10 near the 5. Gino would be right back on the field again, making his presence felt with this 15-yard reception on first down. Just one play later, he would have his first touchdown on his senior season. Already leading 27-0, Gino would show off his big catch ability, making his contested catch in traffic between 2 defenders. Later in the drive, Gino Gray would show off his red zone threat ability, breaking 2 tackles and diving into the end zone for a 25-yard reception. After this first game on the season, Gino had multiple schools interested in watching him. The following week versus Wilcox, Gino would get active early in the game with an 11-yard reception. The following play, he would show off a little bit of blocking ability as his tight end Weisenbecker would get the ball near the 35. A few plays later, Gino would be in the red zone one more time, breaking free for a 23-yard touchdown reception. Always making himself available in the middle of the field, he would get free for a 9-yard gain. The following play, a deep ball was thrown and he would make one of his best catches of his career for this 27-yard one-handed reception. A few plays later, Weisenbecker would find his way into the end zone. With time running out in the first quarter, Gino would shield the DB off on his post route for a 22-yard reception. Later in the second quarter, getting ready to get a 2-minute drill underway, Gino would get the 3rd and 10 conversion with this easy catch. After the offense would score while he was on the sideline, he would come back in the game, making another deep ball catch, this time breaking a tackle off the defender and using his speed to get into the end zone. After the game, he was offered scholarships from UAB, Old Dominion, and UNLV. Following week, they'll be facing winless Eloy, where he would get started with a 23-yard reception. Later on in the game, he would get free again behind the defenders, breaking a few tackles, getting down by the 15. In the red zone, he would find his way open for his first touchdown on the day. And they were up 24-6. Eloy really stood no chance, and Gino would get back to work one more time with a 26-yard catch. There was a 19-yard reception touchdown by his running mate Wynn to pretty much seal the deal on Eloy late in the 4th. The following week, they'll be going up against undefeated Paradise Valley, where Gino would make another contested catch on the sideline for 42 yards. He would then have a goal line opportunity, although he was stopped short, he made the contested catch. After they forced it in with a run play just a few plays later, Gino would have another deep ball opportunity, which he snagged out of the air over 2 defenders. On 2nd and 18, he almost took this slant to the house on a 17-yard reception. On the following drive, he would make another contested catch, snagging his ball one-handed between 2 defenders. And later in the drive, he would get open for a touchdown, his first on the day. With 44 seconds left in the 3rd quarter, he would find his way behind the DBs using his deceptive speed for a one-play bomb, 92-yard touchdown, where he would break a few tackles and then walk his way into the end zone. Gino would go on to dominate the remainder of his senior season, although Tucson High would have a negative record and miss the playoffs. On signing day, Gino decided he would choose Utah. And although he got no playing time in his freshman season, by the time his sophomore season came around, he was ready to make an impact. In his first game with real action at wide receiver 3, they started him off blocking, which he laid down the DB. Later on the drive, he would have his first catch as a sophomore, breaking a few tackles, finding his way near the 15. Utah would put up a score, and Gino would be reintroduced in the game later on with another catch of 25 yards. At this point, he was known for big catches, however, he would take this one for a small gain of 3. They were trying to find different ways to get him involved, knowing he was an insane talent. They tried a bubble screen, but that also just went for 3 yards. After a field goal, they would draw up a wheel route for him, which he would take for a 16-yard catch. He would finish his first sophomore game with 5 catches and 73 yards, and Utah would take a win. Gino was fighting every single week for more playing time, and in practice, unknowingly, he was in a position battle with Devon Vale. After striking for a big touchdown and making a few contested catches, he didn't even know he had won the wide receiver 3 spot just before the big Oregon State game. And with their first ranked opponent, Gino would find his way behind the DBs all the way down to the 5 on a 25-yard catch. The more playing time he got, the more he excelled as he would break free again behind the DBs, finding his way to the 40. Gino would sneak behind the defender one more time, catching a wide open pass, although he couldn't keep his feet. And with 15 seconds left in the 4th, he would wiggle his way free one more time, this time inside the 5. Up 21-14 with under 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, he would catch this big slant, taking it near midfield, dragging defenders. And on a clutch third down, doing what he did best, he made himself available in the middle of the field with an easy conversion for 13 yards. Still leading Oregon State by 3, Geno would get the drive started with a 20-yard catch. The following play, he would be running wide open on the drag, but Barnes had other ideas as he threw an interception. After Oregon State took the lead, Utah would be back on the field one more time where Geno would get the drive started with a 12-yard catch this time. Later in the red zone, Geno was completely bracketed. They had double coverages everywhere, and as Barnes tried to fit a ball over the top, a linebacker undercut it, and Utah would lose their first game on the season. The following week versus BYU, Geno would get out on punt return, trying to make something happen, although he would only take this return for 10 yards. A few plays later, he would sneak behind the defense with an easy catch, taking a big hit near the 20. Geno would find his way open again behind the defenders, winning off the line of scrimmage, taking the ball past midfield. Dealing with turnovers all day, the coach decided to go conservative late in the fourth quarter, and it would end up costing Utah versus BYU. The very next week, Utah had another ranked opponent in UCLA. On the first play, Geno was finding his way through the zone defense, and he would finally be targeted on the sideline, making a 26-yard grab. Later on that same drive, he would become available again, breaking a tackle and gaining a first down. Later in the game, Geno would go on to catch a slant for 14 yards. On 3rd and 11, he would check back into the game for red zone threat purposes, making a contested catch for 26 yards. Later on in the drive, he would tiptoe the back of the end zone for a 6-yard touchdown reception. As the game continued, Geno would keep making clutch catches, picking up his first down on 2nd and 7. On the following play, he would find his way behind the DB, breaking a tackle, making a man miss, and walking in for a touchdown. Utah would upset UCLA, and Geno would go on to be the player of the game with 7 receptions, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Later on in the season, Geno would find his way back in Tucson, Arizona, and back home for the first time, and he would make his presence felt on the field with a kickoff return. And on his first touch, he would take it past the 30. On his first target of the day, he would fight off the press coverage, making a catch right in front of the safety, taking a big hit. He wouldn't make his second catch until late in the second quarter, and it would go for a first down. Later in the drive, he would make a one-handed snag right in front of the linebacker for 5 yards, but he was short of the first down. After Utah would strike for a touchdown, he would make another catch for 15 yards on the sideline, dragging his foot. He would follow that one up with a catch over the middle, taking it near first down. Geno wouldn't get another catch until late in the fourth quarter, fighting his way out multiple defenders and getting an 8-yard catch for a first down. Fabian Marks would be named the player of the game as he had 2 total touchdowns. Geno would go for 7 catches and 58 yards. After an up and down season by Utah, they had 8-1 Oregon as Geno would make a 17-yard catch. Later in the second, he would wiggle his way free, making himself available to his quarterback in the middle of the field for his second catch on the day, going for 30 yards. Now trailing 10-7 late in the third quarter, he would have another reception as he would sneak behind the DB. Late in the third quarter, he would have another reception, almost taking his in for a touchdown before getting caught near the 10. Geno would sneak his way open on this first down play for a touchdown. However, Barnes would miss him, a common trend for the day. On 1st and 10, with just 39 seconds left, Geno was blanketed on the sideline with a safety over the top. Barnes would go down for a 7-yard loss. On the following play, they had more bracket help, and he would throw it into double coverage, but the safety would end up with a pick, and Utah would go on to lose. Geno would finish with 6 catches for 129 yards. However, he would forego the rest of the season either due to injury or just skipping out on the season finale and a bowl game. To no one's surprise, he would then transfer to the University of Florida. His first catch in Florida came in the first game late in the first quarter for 6 yards. He was off to a slow start even though the team itself was off to a hot start. He would have another catch over the middle of the field, breaking a few tackles, just showing how physical he could be. Later, he would ad-lib a route and pick up a first down. In his first game, they would have a convincing win, although Geno only had 3 catches for 48 yards. In week 2, he had a pretty quiet game as well, but in week 3, they were going up against ranked 22 Ole Miss, where Geno would get involved early in the game with a big catch across the middle for 19 yards. He would find space on a drag and pick up 12 yards. With Florida leading by 2 scores, Geno would sneak his way behind the zone coverage all the way down the midfield for a 27-yard catch. However, the drive would end on an interception that would close out the half. Late in the third quarter, Geno would check back in on his third down, making an easy catch, converting and moving the chains. On another third down conversion, he would beat one-on-one coverage and find his way inside the 20. Leading by 3 scores at this point, the game was already in hand, but Geno was still finding his way on the team, so he stayed in the game. Now leading 24-8, Mertz and Gray were still working on their connection as they would finally hook up with a big one as Geno would throw a stiff arm, break a few tackles, and find his way up the sideline. By week 9, Florida was ranked number 2 and they would be going against number 9 Georgia. Geno would get the game started with a tiptoeing catch, moving the chains. Leading 10-7, he wouldn't get another catch until near a 2-minute drill, as he would tiptoe the sideline one more time for 21 yards. Later on the drive, he would hit open on a seam route, breaking free, getting all the way to the 10. The drive would come to a completion when Mertz would find the wide receiver Bowman for a 10-yard touchdown reception. Trailing 21-17, he would get the drive started with a minute left with a contested catch near midfield. On 4th and 3, Geno did what he did best, converting, moving the chains with an 11-yard catch. Later in the drive, he would find his way open behind the zone coverage for a 29-yard reception. That would then set up this play of the game with Mertz connecting to Bowman for a touchdown, sealing the deal. In week 14, they had a rivalry game set up against number 4 Florida State, and Geno would get involved in the game early with his 3rd down conversion, breaking a few tackles, getting near the 50. Later on in the drive, he would sneak past the DB and catch a pass right in front of the safety for 26 yards. Geno and Mertz were finally getting a little bit of a connection as he would find his way open one more time late in the second. On 3rd and 15, Mertz and Geno would connect one more time, but he would be stopped short. With 42 seconds left, the Gators were still trailing Florida State by 7 and were looking to get a drive going. However, Mertz would throw an interception and the game would pretty much be sealed. When bowl season came around, Geno guaranteed a win in the All-State Sugar Bowl over the number 10 Louisville Cardinals. On their first 3rd down attempt, Geno would be the one to convert it as usual, taking a 10-yard reception to the 50. Later on in the drive on 3rd and 4, he would come through one more time with a 16-yard reception. After scoring, they would be out on 4th and 1, where Geno would make his services useful one more time, taking his pass for 8 yards past midfield. Up 14-7, he was finding his way again in the middle of the field with a 10-yard reception. He was having one of his biggest halves in terms of receptions. However, Mertz would do what he did best and throw an interception ending the drive. Geno would get the drive started with a 7-yard reception. He would then follow that up with a slant, moving the chains, breaking more tackles, and picking up 15. With Louisville leading 21-14 with a minute left in the 4th, Geno would come through in the clutch with a catch near midfield. As they entered the red zone, Geno would check back on the field, getting wide open in the corner of the end zone for a 13-yard touchdown reception. The game would go to OT where Louisville would throw on a field goal, and Florida had a chance to end this game once and for all. Geno would get the drive started with a 16-yard reception. A few plays later, Mertz would throw a rope for an 8-yard touchdown reception that Geno caught, ending the game and his college career. The Gators were All-State Sugar Bowl champions. Geno would forego his senior season and enter the draft. However, he would go undrafted. However, he was given a camp tryout with the Kansas City Chiefs, but it didn't go as expected. With a connection like Mahomes and Kelsey, the middle of the field was pretty much useless for Geno Gray, and they tried to use him as only a deep threat receiver. When given his opportunities in the middle of the field, though, he made the most of his opportunities. He would be released as the first roster cut. However, the Texans would pick him up almost immediately by asking him to do something different than what he normally does. Geno would be switching to tight end for the first time in his football career. After sitting out week 2 of the preseason, Geno would make his debut at tight end in week 3, and his first target didn't go as planned, would be knocked free and intercepted by Cam Jordan of all people. After that horrible negative play, Geno would come out and make right as he would destroy a defender on a block, and it would spring Desmond King for a 99-yard kick return touchdown. Later in the game on 4th and 5, Geno would do what he did best, making a clutch possession reception on the sideline for a conversion. Later in that drive, he would have his second catch, moving forward for another first down. After that, it was clear Stroud had a new favorite target, hooking up with Geno again for a first down. And on 4th and 1, he would do it again with another possession catch, coming through moving the chains. Later in the game on a play action, he would hook up with Nico Collins, taking the ball down to the 6. Geno would find his way in the middle of the end zone all alone for his first career touchdown. After securing his roster spot, Geno would go on for a number change, moving to number 14, as the Ravens and Texans were getting ready for a week 1 showdown to open the season. On the first play of the game, Geno would find his way wide open behind the linebackers, but Stroud opted for a one-play bomb to Nico Collins for 75 yards as he was walking for an explosive first start to the season. As the Ravens would strike back twice, Geno would get his first career catch for a first down. Later on in the game, he would find his way near the Baltimore Shield after sneaking by in the seam. On 3rd and 10, he would again move the chains, finding his way behind the defenders one more time. In the red zone, they would catch him on a quick slant, although he wouldn't get into the end zone. The following play, they would reward him. After ad-libbing the route, he would then secure the catch for his first career touchdown, tying the game up. Looking to keep the drive going on 3rd and 8, Geno would find his way past the sticks one more time. And Geno was having an insane day as he found his way all the way inside the red zone on this catch. And with 9 seconds left, Geno would find his way in for his second career touchdown and his second on the day. It was an insane start to his NFL career. The Texans would fall behind to the Ravens 21-33, and the final drive would start with a couple of connections to Nico Collins. The first one would take him to midfield. On Collins' second catch on the drive, he would burn Marlon Humphrey, taking it all the way to the 25. The drive would come to an end with a Marlon Humphrey interception, and the Texans would lose their first game on the season. Geno went for 9 catches, 141 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Nico Collins also had a big day with 5 for 138. Starting on their own 35, Stroud and Geno would connect for a big catch, and Geno would do the rest, taking his 65-yard touchdown to the house as the linebackers just couldn't keep up. Late in the first quarter, a few blocks by Geno and Brevin Jordan, it would spring Dameon Pierce for a 65-yard touchdown of his own. On 3rd and 15, CJ Stroud would find a security blanket for a 15-yard completion. Geno and Stroud, however, couldn't connect on 3rd and 10, and the drive would come to an end. The Texans were only leading the Bengals by 7 late in the 4th. CJ Stroud would then audible to a play that only him and Geno knew, as they would connect and Geno would take the ball all the way down to the 43, pretty much sealing the deal on the Bengals. The Texans were looking to clinch the playoffs and the division versus the Titans, as they were sitting at 11-2, ready to take on the 7-6 Titans. The offense wouldn't get rolling until late in the first quarter, when Singletary would take this run for a first down. In the second quarter on 4th and 1, Geno and CJ Stroud would connect to move the chains. The following play, Stroud would target his number 2 receiver on the season, Nico Collins, who would go in untouched. The following drive, Geno would do what he did best with a contested catch, moving the ball to the 49. The following play, Dameon Pierce would move the chains again, following the blocks of his trusted tight ends. On 3rd and 15 with a minute left, Geno was wide open on the seam route, taking the ball inside the 20. Geno was motioned out wide late in the second half, and he was targeted immediately as he had a mismatch. He would snag the ball out of the air and take the ball 89 yards to the house. The speed was really showing towards the end of the run. Late in the game on 1st and 10, Geno almost made the greatest catch of his young career, but he couldn't hang on to it. However, later in the drive on 3rd and goal, CJ Stroud would end it off with a touchdown, sealing the deal and sending the Texans to the playoffs. Geno would get the following week started with a big catch near midfield. On 3rd and 10, the ball was knocked incomplete and the drive would come to an end. However, Collins would come through on the next drive, taking the ball near the 10. In the following play after that, Geno and Stroud would hook up for what would be Geno's 10th touchdown on the season. Stroud would find Collins, who would break a tackle and get near midfield again. But on 3rd and 7, a pass that was almost intercepted would end the drive. Late in the 4th, the game was still tied 6-6, but Geno and Stroud would make them pay after the Browns turned the ball over. On 1st and 17, after a penalty, CJ Stroud would target Geno one more time, nearly moving the chains. And on 3rd and inches, they would catch the Browns' whole defense off guard with this play action, as Geno would take it all the way to the 30. Later on in the drive, Pierce would pick up 10 yards on a rush. Stroud would be sacked by Myles Garrett trying to roll out. The Texans would settle for 3. However, the defense would hold, and they would go on to win in yet another game. The Texans would go on to have the number 3 seed and were looking to possibly move up to the number 2 seed with a win in their season finale versus the Colts. CJ and Geno would get the day started with a 22-yard reception as he took the ball near midfield. Following play, he would have his second catch on the day, already taking this win in the Colts territory. Stroud would hook up with Saubert on the next play for 13 yards and a first down. And Geno would have his 3rd catch on the day, moving the chains one more time. The drive would end in a field goal. On 3rd and 10, Geno would be targeted again with a linebacker in coverage and would come up with the easy first down conversion. Later in the drive on 1st and 10, they tried it one more time and they converted again, this time inside the 10. Geno was a matchup nightmare, but Singletary would end the drive with a walk-in touchdown. With the game knotted up 10-10, CJ Stroud would make a very rare mistake, throwing an interception to Juju Brents. Now trailing 17-10, they were looking to try to knock the game up one more time. Geno would make himself available in the middle of the field, near midfield. As the drive continued, Geno would convert the chains one more time, having to dive out for this one. And for the 3rd time on the drive, Geno and CJ Stroud would connect near the 20. On 2nd and 10, Geno would find his way behind the linebackers, ending the drive with a touchdown. However, the Colts would add on a field goal, and with 20 seconds left, they didn't have much time to work. They tried a few deep balls. Geno couldn't hang on to the first one, and he would hang on to the second one. However, time would run out as he was tackled in bounds. Although the Texans lost their season finale, they would have the playoffs clinched. Geno would end the season with 93 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 13 touchdowns. He was already looked at as a top 5 tight end, and on the legacy leaderboards, he was already sitting at number 10 among active tight ends. And let me know what y'all think about that one in the comments, and if y'all want to see the playoff run of Geno Gray and CJ Stroud, good luck to them boys in the playoffs.